rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? If you build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, welcome to episode 173 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Today I want to talk about what's challenging me at the moment. One of the things that I really worry about sometimes is that my listeners and followers, all three of you, think that my life is just a piece of cake and everything's simple and easy, and I have all the answers, and that's pretty far from the truth. I have some answers, but most of the time I'm going after the other answers, and I'm sharing that with you guys to help motivate and inspire you guys. But at the same time, it motivates, inspires me to keep doing better, to keep improving on me, the brand, the podcast, everything that we're working on. Because fundamentally, I like to help people. I want to help people. It's our mission. But the same thing, I feel like I need to be honest. And we all suffer from time to time from what we call the imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm not really that good. I'm not really there. It'll creep up every once in a while. Usually when we're struggling or we're not getting the results we want as fast as we want. Very natural. Happens to many people. In fact, the more successful you are, the more often you run into this. So I want to talk a bit about some of the things that I'm currently struggling with and what I'm working with, and some of it's business related, some of it's personal. Sorry, an alarm. We're getting our cat neutered, and I just got the alarm notification. So maybe we'll do a podcast from the neutering of a cat. Best or worst podcast episode ever? Who knows? So on that note, let me just turn that notification thing off. Awesome. So one of the things I'm struggling with, obviously, is distractions. But currently, a couple of areas that I'm working on and I'm struggling with, and it's my definition of struggling. It's me saying, hey, I'm not where I want to be on certain things. So right now I'm working on building our YouTube channel. I'm working on building our podcast audience, because I really believe these two platforms are very important for me to be able to reach my audience, which is, you men over 40 and 50. And, as we grow that, I want to grow that. We have targets, we have goals, we're working hard. So we want to see success, and we want to improve. And, I see guys like Joe Rogan, and I'm like, wow, that guy's like at the top, right? How far can I get? And he's a guy just like everybody else, lots of talent for sure. But I'm like, how far can I get? I want to get further. I want to keep building. That's part of what pushes me. I want to reach 1,000 men with every episode. Then I want to reach 5,000, then 10,000. Because we want to see progress. We want to see growth. We want to know that what we're doing matters and matters to more people. So those are the things I struggle with. And sometimes what I struggle with is not just the concept of that, but just figuring it out, how to get there. I don't have a bottomless pit of cash where I can just hire people to do this, this, and this. We have a team, but we keep it very tight. We're on a shoestring budget because we're still small. Right? I've got staff at the gym. I've got, Luke's my podcast producer. Like, I've got to make every penny count. So I have to find ways to have the things done. So that means I still have to do a bunch of it myself. It's easy to say, hey, delegate everything. But you have to be in a position where you can do that. But I also like to know what's going on. I also like to understand what's happening. So when I do get to a point where I'm able to delegate an aspect or hire out an aspect, I also understand what has to get done. So I know if it's getting done, and I can appreciate when it is getting done. That's part of that curiosity that I have about all things. So right now I'm working on learning new tools about how to build the YouTube audience, how to build the podcast audience. And then, so some of my challenges, not even just that, but some of the challenges is to finding the time to be focused and to do that consistently so that I do get those results. So the needle still keeps moving forward. And like anybody else, once I'm in the middle of something and I'm focused on something, I kind of want to do it more and more and more till I get further and get further and get further. But then I have to understand that there's a balance that's needed. So another area sometimes I struggle with is time management. When I look at things, I look at, there's things that I really enjoy doing and there's things that I don't like doing. And in between those two areas, there's all kinds of things that have to get done. So sometimes I find myself spending less time than needed on the things that have to get done and more time on things that I enjoy, the things that fire me up. And what I have to do is make sure that the things that have to get done still get done because they're often mission critical as well. Because if I fall behind on those things, then shit hits the fan. Then things get really difficult. Then things get chaotic. So sometimes I have to sit there and I have to treat myself like a 5-year-old. I have to give myself the reward system. Listen, if you do this thing for an hour, then you go and you get 3 hours to do the stuff you really want to do and that you're excited about. But you're going to do this hour first. And even in my head, I'm like, oh man. But at the end of the day, it's true. But those are the areas that I struggle with. And I have like these mental battles sometimes. It's like a movie going on sometimes. Or a really poorly written sitcom. But at the end of the day, those are the areas I struggle with. At the gym, training, helping people, talking about training, stuff like that, I love it. But I often catch myself having a 20-minute conversation when it could have been a 5-minute conversation. Because I enjoy it. I enjoy the interaction with the clients. I want to help. I want to build the business. But even I catch myself sometimes having this conversation, and in the back of my mind, I'm telling myself, hey, you could have ended this conversation 5 minutes ago and everybody would have been happy. So there's some of the areas that I struggle with. And they're good struggles, right? And then sometimes too, there's a point where I'll work really hard. I'll pull this 2 a.m., 3 a.m. stuff. So, next thing you know, I'm a little sluggish the next day getting up in the morning. And once in a while, I can say, oh, you know what? We'll sleep in this morning. It's okay. But most mornings, I have to make sure that I'm getting up by 7:30, 8 o'clock. Now, for some people, they're like, oh, I thought you used to get up at 4 a.m. I used to. But now that I work the gym from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. most nights, and then when I come home, I usually work on other stuff for another hour or so. A lot of times I'm not getting to bed till 1 or 2 in the morning. And I'm okay with that because the people I have at the gym are really good taking care of things in the morning. So that's one thing I did. I said, listen, if I want to get away from the mornings because I'm doing this, then I need to make sure that whatever's happening at the gym in the morning is well taken care of. Whereas before I didn't quite have that, so I had to be the morning person. That's where it is about figuring out where your weaknesses, where your strengths are, what can I fix, and if I move something to this side, does it allow me more time and energy to work on the stuff that I excel at, stuff that I do that generates revenue for the business? There's a rule in business, the 80-20 rule, and there's two versions of that. One is that 20% of your clients represent 80% of your business, so take good care of them. But the 80-20 rule is we should be spending 80% of our time on the things that we are very good at, things that we enjoy, that we're very good at, that we generate revenue for our business with. 20% of the time should be on the things that we're not great at, that have to get done. So either we do them ourselves or we delegate them out to the right people. So we make sure those things get done. But by spending the 80% of the time in our wheelhouse where we do the best work for our brand and our business, that's really what's going to generate your revenue. That's really what's going to generate the awareness for your brand, for your company, for your business. So sometimes I have to ask myself a question. When a task comes across to me, is this something that has to get done? Yes, perfect. Now, is this something that has to be done by me, or is it something we can do by one of my staff? And whatever answer it is, then my next question now is it best handled by me or is it best handled by one of my staff or one of my subcontractors? And when answering those questions, that's where I make the better decision. Now, sometimes I'll have a task that I have to do that I don't have someone that can do it. I'd really like to have someone that can do it, but I can't afford that staff or that service at the moment, so I have to get it done. And that's the reality of it, especially as a small business. But I try to keep note of that. And I'm like, once I get to the next level and I can afford to delegate that or outsource that, that's the cool word all the kids are saying, outsource. That's the first thing I want to start to outsource to free up more of my time to spend in my wheelhouse in my 80%. At the gym, cleaning the bathrooms is not the best use of my talent. So I have staff that are hired to take care of the facility and keep it clean. It's not that task is beneath me. Far from it. And it's not that it's not important. It is super important. But if I can afford to pay someone part-time, give them a job, and at the same time, usually these are students and stuff, they're starting to get experience in that kind of thing, in work, finding out what they like and what they don't like to do. It's great to learn that you don't like cleaning toilets, so you know what? Stay in school, get smarter, get more skilled, get a better job. That's all part of it. Work your way up. But if I have a staff that I'm paying to take care of that, it's much easier for me to stay on top of it, make sure it's done, and follow up. That'll take a few minutes, or then I can go back to doing what I do really well, training people, podcasting, spreading the word, interacting with clients, helping clients. Because that's the best use of my time and talent. And my part-time staff doesn't have the expertise to do that part. Not yet. And eventually over time, maybe they acquire that skill if that's what they want to do. But it's that balance, and it's figuring those things out and understanding that. Sometimes we're afraid. Sometimes we spend all our time doing the little busy work because it's easier, right? Rather than turning around and saying, hey, you know what I need to do? I need to call these 2 people back and get them in to see if I can get them to join my gym. Sometimes it's just following up. They came, they called, they had a question, right? No one likes doing sales. I don't like a hard sale. I don't believe in hard sales. I believe in answering questions, finding out what their problem is, and then providing the solution if we are the solution. If we're not the solution, I'm the first one to say, you know what? I don't handle that. That's not something we can do. Here's a couple of things I can recommend for you. But at the end of the day, that's a task that's better handled by me than the 15-year-old kid that just started working for us and he's got 2 months experience. In fact, I would be doing a disservice to my brand and company if I relied on that part-time kid to handle that, because he hasn't been taught that, doesn't have the experience. He might want to get there someday, but I'm not helping anybody by having that happen. So those are some of the challenges that I have to deal with, is that what can I do? What needs to get done? What can I afford to outsource? And when we're always trying to grow, we're always trying to expand, we're always in a state of, I like the word controlled chaos. Because we're pushing, we're trying different things. We're about to launch a new product at the gym called Combat Cardio. So we're getting into some boxing cardio. We just put the program together. We just shot a little promo video with me working with Coach Daryl on it, working on the focus pads, right? Now, that wasn't comfortable for me because I've never done that kind of stuff before, right? I'll shoot a video all day long of me benching, but here I am learning how to do combinations and videoing it at the same time. But I also know, though, that's what's got to get done. And it was cool. It was awesome doing it. I really enjoyed it. And it pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit, which makes me better. That's my wheelhouse. That's where I like to do. That's where I flourish. That's where I spend the time. It takes less effort for me to do something there. Whereas if I have to spend time doing things I don't like doing or I'm not really good at but have to get done, it takes 10 times the amount of energy to do the same thing. And it's draining. Whereas if I took something that I enjoy doing, I could do 10 times the job with 10% of the energy because it's what excites me, it's what's fun for me, it's what moves me. That's what it always comes down to when I talk many times on many episodes about finding out what makes you tick, what you love doing, what you want to do, who you want to be. Once you start working on that and doing that, that takes so much less energy because you're where you want to be. You're excited, you're motivated. We're always excited to drive to Wonderland. Right? We're awake, we're chatting, blah, blah, blah. The drive back from Wonderland, everyone's asleep because it's, we're heading home, it's boring, right? That's the way it is. So we want to spend as much of our time in our wheelhouse. Wheelhouse means that's the area of our expertise where things go, things that we take on seem easy for us. We enjoy doing. We make it look effortless because we put the time in and we acquired the skills and we were excited and motivated by it. Then the grind is doing the stuff you don't like doing. The grind is the stuff that you have to do, that has to get done. When people go out there and they, the memes like, you got to grind every day. I'm like, fuck that. Work hard every day. But if it's a grind every day, you're doing the wrong fucking thing. There's going to be some grind sometimes. But the rest of the time, you should be out there kicking ass, You should be out there loving it. You should be out there motivated and excited, and people should hear it in your voice and see it in your posture and see it in your eyes. And if you don't have that for the thing that you're doing the wrong thing, man. So part of my challenge is, because it's kind of like a drug, right? You want to spend more time on the stuff you love doing, you can do all day. But then my challenge is, all right, that's enough of that. I got to pull away and make sure that these basic things get done. These critical things that I don't like doing don't get done. Or these things that don't excite me, even if I'm good at, has to get done. So it comes down to I have to treat myself like that 5-year-old. Spend an hour doing those things I don't like, and I reward myself with a 3-hour cookie of doing things I love doing. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty pumped that I'm in that position, that I have to do that to myself, because it's a good place to be. But that's where that discipline comes in, right? You can have all the passion in the world, you can have all the talent in the world, but if your discipline is shit, it's always only going to take you so far. And I guarantee you, I've been guilty of that many times over the last 30 years. The lack of discipline on the things that have to get done. Every Monday we sit down with my main staff and we go over stuff and we have things that we work on, right? I don't like doing that. Now, I shouldn't say I don't like doing it anymore, because now that we've been doing it for 4 months, I actually look forward to it. It's good because I'm seeing the results. The needle's moving forward. But initially, it was not my wheelhouse. It was not comfortable. I didn't like it. It's not natural for me. But I said, listen, I have to create that discipline, so it has to get done. Because that's part, like we talked about earlier in the last episode, right? It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun. What are you struggling with at the moment? It'd be interesting to hear from you guys. What are you guys struggling with? Comment on the YouTube if you're hearing this on YouTube, or comment on the podcast if you're hearing this. Send me an email, kurthaas@gmail.com. What are you struggling with? What's hard for you? Where do you find yourself that if I could just get better at this one thing, things would happen? One of the things I like to talk about is the low-hanging fruit. We were just talking about that in another group and stuff, is what's the one thing that you could do today that'll make a whole bunch of difference in your week? But as Hammy Hamster used to say, do you guys remember that show, Hammy Hamster? If you're Canadian, it was a horrible show that was on CBC in the mornings for kids. And it was basically this hamster, these rodents, and they walked around this little play area. It's like this little set. And then people did voiceovers and stuff like that. Hammy Hamster. And as Hammy Hamster would say, but that's another story. Guys, and on that uncomfortable, bizarre note, I'm going to end it here. I want you to head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star, actually, maybe a 4-star after that one, review. Head on over to hostilegear.com. Use the code word Silverback to get your Hammy Hamster hoodie. And as always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers. And I'll talk to you guys later.